Good day, Professor Atayan and my dearest classmates. In this report, Sir Arvy and I will be presenting to you the summaries of the 5 subtopics under Unit 6 entitled Crafting a Sustainable Enterprise Through Leadership and Capabilities as part of our entire course, Sustainable Business. I am tasked to report leadership construct for creating a sustainable enterprise and dynamic view of core competencies and core capabilities, while the next 3 subtopics will be reported by Sir Arvy. Lifted from our course syllabus prepared by Dr. Bobby, this unit seeks to understand the role that business model innovation and cross-sectoral collaborations play in corporate sustainable strategies. After careful scrutiny and reading the context of our assigned unit, Sir Arvy and I have decided to use this format in presenting to you the Unit 6 comprehensively and for ease of understanding the title, Creating Sustainable Enterprise Through Leadership and Capabilities. We will begin with a presentation of the main topics and principles, and these concepts will be then correlated through selected latest researches. An application of these principles will be integrated in case studies presentation examples, and that at each of the subtopics, we will then provide key takeaways. I will now proceed in the presentation of the first subtopic, leadership construct for creating sustainable enterprise. So as a backgrounder, sustainable enterprise is an organization that can anticipate and meet the needs of present and future generations of customers and stakeholders through creating and innovating new business strategies and activities that accelerate positive social change, protect and preserve environmental integrity while enhancing business performance. Sustainable enterprise incorporates principles of sustainability into each of the business decisions. It supplies environmentally friendly products or services that replaces demand for non-green products and or services. It is greener than traditional competition and has made an enduring commitment to environmental principles in its business operations. Leadership is the driving element behind enterprise sustainability. Leaders align the strategy towards sustainable development that is compatible with business's social, economic, and environmental roles. The role of leadership in sustainable enterprise is to align the strategy to integrate environmental aspects into daily business or to transform the business process into an environmentally friendly nature, to make investment decisions toward environmental capital, social aspects, and human resource at the same time. And last is to identify business opportunities in resolving environmental problems and to take a proactive approach to sustainability. What's different about leadership in the context of promoting more sustainable practices and policies? In this slide, as you can see, Andre Taylor, a leadership specialist, categorized sustainability leadership into 6 principles. First principle is sustainability leaders typically have a worldview that is characterized by being eco-centric, systemic, and long-term. Dr. Steve Shine of 2015 explored the significance of eco-centric or ecological worldview to sustainability leaders and leadership. This worldview emphasizes that humans are part of the global ecosystem, not separate from it. Nature has intrinsic value. In order to minimize our impact on natural systems, we need to think systematically and long-term. And we have a responsibility to be stewards of natural systems. Number 2, sustainability leaders often work in a cross-boundary network that consists of leaders playing different leadership roles. Case studies of successful sustainability leadership that involve complex challenges, such as promoting more sustainable forms of water management in cities, as can be cited from Brown and Clark of 2007 and Taylor in 2011. It highlights the importance of cross-sectoral networks of leaders working together over many years to build and deliver a shared vision for change. Such advocacy coalitions typically consist of leaders playing different roles. For example, the network may include some authorizing leaders with significant position or authority, such as CEOs and politicians. Third principle is that sustainability leaders spend much of their time working across boundaries. Sustainability challenges are typically complex and cross-boundary in nature. In this context, the boundaries may relate to professional discipline, industry sectors, levels of government, organizational units, culture, geography, political jurisdictions, and demographics. Examples of complex cross-boundary sustainability challenges in Australia include formulating a national energy policy that significantly reduces greenhouse gas emissions and managing water more sustainably in the Murray-Darling Basin. Fourth principle is states that sustainability leaders are able to exercise influence without authority. Dr. Ken Blanchard, the co-developer of Wildview's situational leadership model, as cited from Blanchard et al. In 2013, reminds us that the key to successful leadership is influence, not authority. This is particularly the case for sustainability leaders given the need to exercise influence across boundaries where the leader often has no authority over the people or groups they are seeking to influence. The fifth principle is sustainability leaders are comfortable working with complexity. A core skill for leaders is to distinguish between different types of leadership challenges and choose appropriate leadership styles to address them as, as stated by Snowden and Boone in 2007. Most sustainability leaders I know and observe spend most of their time working on complex challenges. These problems typically involve many stakeholders, politics, competing interests, natural systems, and ecosystems. For such complex problems, we can simply look for a technical expert to direct us how to solve the problem. Instead, we need sustainability leaders to use adaptive leadership, as, as stated by Heifetz et al. In 2009, to create places and opportunities for stakeholders to share their understanding of the problem, learn together, innovate, conduct trials, and where such trials are successful, scale up their application. The number six principle states sustainability leaders recognize the importance of leading themselves. Promoting development is rarely easy. More often than not, it involves significant resistance, stakeholder conflict, setbacks, and long time frames. In this context, there is a significant risk of sustainability leaders burning out or leaving a leadership initiative too early. So, a key principle of leadership development is to prioritize self leadership, as being mentioned by Blanchard in 2015. Self leadership involves building self awareness of our nature, for example, our purpose, values, personality, traits, and strengths, and then making decisions so that we can be our best. Another example is choosing where we spend our time, where we work, and the other principle is that effective leadership in a sustainable enterprise begins with a clear vision and mission that aligns with the principles of sustainability. This vision should be communicated throughout the organization and used to guide decision making at all levels. Leaders should also set an example by incorporating sustainable practices into their own behavior and decision making. One key aspect of leadership in a sustainable enterprise is the ability to manage change and innovation. Sustainability often requires organization to rethink traditional business models and embrace new technologies and practices. Leaders must be able to anticipate and respond to changes in the external environment while also fostering a culture of experimentation and learning within the organization. Another important aspect of leadership in a sustainable enterprise is stakeholder engagement. Sustainability requires organizations to consider the impacts of their actions on a wide range of stakeholders, including customers, employees, suppliers, communities, and the natural environment. Leaders must be able to engage with these stakeholders in a meaningful way and incorporate their perspectives into organizations' decision-making process. Leadership in a sustainable enterprise also requires the ability to build and manage partnerships. Sustainability often requires organizations to work with other organizations, governments, and civil society groups to address complex social and environmental challenges. Leaders must be able to build and manage these partnerships effectively while also balancing the interests of the organization with the needs of other stakeholders. Leadership in a sustainable enterprise requires a commitment to transparency and accountability. Organizations must be willing to disclose their sustainability, performance, and progress, and be open to feedback and scrutiny from external stakeholders. Leaders must also be willing to take responsibility for the organization's actions and be held accountable for any of the outcomes. The existing research on sustainable leadership has made progress, and some scholars have found that sustainable leadership have, has a positive impact on employees' organizational commitment, employees' job satisfaction, employees' organizational trust, organizational sustainable performance, organizational financial performance, and organizational resilience. Just last year, Liao published an article on sustainable leadership. It's entitled A Literature Review and Prospects for Future Research. It was found out, however, the research of sustainable leadership is still in infancy, and there is a lack of systematic review in this field, which is in sharp contrast to the calls for sustainable leadership. Executive leadership and management commitment are two critical requirements for leading change, achieving exceptional performance, and sustaining success. Management must lead at all levels. Executives and senior management must create a vision for the future, position the enterprise to realize that vision, and inspire people to transform the corporation's existing capabilities into world-class competencies. For this reason, executive leadership is at the pinnacle of leadership responsibility for sustainable business development. Executives fulfill a dual role articulating this all important vision as corporate officers, while also ensuring that the enterprise meets its social, economic, environmental, and business obligations to customers, stakeholders, and the society. Overall, leadership is a critical construct for creating a sustainable enterprise. It shapes the culture, strategy, and operations of an organization and enables it to meet the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Effective leaders in sustainable enterprise must have a long-term perspective, ability to manage change and innovation, engage with stakeholders, build and manage partnerships, and have a commitment to transparency and accountability. The second one is the dynamic view of core competencies and the core capabilities. It is a perspective that sees concepts as constantly evolving and changing, rather than fixed and unchanging. In this next subtopic, we will learn that this view recognizes that an organization's competitive advantage are not static, but rather are subject to change over time due to internal and external factors. In determining your company's core competencies, identify the underlying skill, ability, knowledge, experience, technology, or process that enables your company to provide its unique set of products or services. Determine how you can use your company's core competencies to develop strategic responsiveness to gain competitive advantage. High-performing companies develop new core competencies and expand their existing ones to enter new and future markets. A company at this level of functioning recognizes the needs and wants of customers in new and future markets and develops the competencies necessary to meet those needs and wants. For example, Apple's unique competence is its product design process. With the iPad, Apple combined the elements of jukebox software, which can organize a large quantity of songs, and MP3 players, which can store a large quantity of songs in a way that it is so simple. Simplicity turned out to be the core attribute that made the iPod a revolutionary product that changed customers' expectations. Core competencies refer to the unique abilities, skills, and knowledge that an organization possesses that enable it to create and deliver value to its customers. Core competencies are often thought of as a foundation of an organization's competitive advantage. However, the dynamic view of core competencies argues that these abilities, skills, and knowledge are not fixed and unchanging, but rather a subject to change over time. Core capabilities, on the other hand, refer to processes and systems that an organization uses to turn its core competencies into products and services. Like core competencies, core capabilities are also subject to change over time. The dynamic view of core capabilities suggests that organizations must continuously improve and adopt their processes and systems in order to stay competitive. So in this chart, Hafer of 2003 demonstrated that according to the concept of core competencies, competitive advantage is based on the ability to build core competencies at a lower cost and faster than competitors to generate new and improved products and services. In other words, the real source of competitive advantage is the ability of the managers to consolidate across the entire corporation, production technologies and skills, and translate them into competencies that will allow specific business units to adapt quickly to changing opportunities. The concept of dynamic capabilities, as well as the concept of core competencies, extends the resource-based theory. It directs the research interest to the role of changes taking place in business environment and the problem of the organization adapting to them in order to develop and maintain competitive advantages. To enable us clearly understand the basics of competencies and core capabilities, let us watch the short video explainer on the following slide.
The term core competence gets thrown around a lot, but it has a specific meaning, one that's especially important for strategists and companies with multiple business units or product lines. C.K. Prahalad and Gary Hamel, who introduced the concept, described the diversified corporation as a large tree. The core products are the trunk and major limbs. The business units are smaller branches, and the end products are the leaves. The core competence is the root system that provides nourishment and stability. It's essentially what your organization knows about coordinating production and technology. If you only compare end products, you'll miss the real strength of your company. To figure that out, start by identifying specific core competencies, the 5 or 6 things at most that your company does better than anyone else. These meet 3 requirements. First, they provide access to a wide variety of markets. Consider what Honda knows about engines. It gives them a distinctive advantage in cars, lawnmowers, and generators. Second, core competencies contribute to the benefits of the product as perceived by the customer. Clearly, Honda's expertise in engines fits the bill here, too. Finally, core competencies are hard for competitors to imitate. It's been tough for Honda's competitors to match their engine design and development skills, even with bigger R&D budgets. Competencies not only bind existing businesses together, they also nourish new lines of business. For instance, when Honda first decided to make cars, they knew they were capitalizing on what they'd learned about engines from years of making motorcycles. Understanding your competencies can prevent you from making disastrous outsourcing mistakes. Chrysler, for example, considered engines an expensive commodity and outsourced them to Mitsubishi and Hyundai. That didn't work out so well for Chrysler. Knowledge fades if it's not used. In a world of intense global competition, understanding core competence helps you figure out how to create sustainable advantage that's more than just the sum of your current products.
A company's business model and strategy must be well matched to its collection of resources and capabilities. A resource is a competitive asset that's owned or controlled by a company. And a capability is the capacity of a company to completely perform some internal activity. Capabilities are developed and enabled through the deployment of company resources. Long-term competitive advantage requires the ongoing development and expansion of resources and capabilities to pursue emerging market opportunities and defend against future threats to its market standing and profitability. Organizational capabilities are developed and enabled through the deployment of a company's resources or some combination of its resources. Some capabilities rely heavily on a company's intangible resources, such as human assets and intellectual capital. What is most telling about a company's aggregation of resources and capabilities is how powerful they are in the marketplace. The competitive power of a resource or capability is measured by how many of the 4 tests for sustainable competitive advantage it can pass. The tests are often referred to as the VRIN tests for sustainable competitive advantage, an acronym for valuable, rare, imitatable, and non-substitutable. The first 2 tests determine whether the resource or capability may contribute to the competitive advantage. The last 2 determine the degree to which the competitive advantage potential can be sustained. Is the resource or capability competitively valuable? All companies possess a collection of resources and capabilities. Some have the potential to contribute to competitive advantage, while others do not. Is the resource or capability rare, or is it something that rivals lack? Resources and capabilities that are common among firms and widely available cannot be the source of competitive advantage. Is the resource or capability imitatable or hard to copy? The more difficult and the more expensive it is to imitate a company's resource or capability, the more likely that it can also provide a sustainable competitive advantage. And finally, is the resource or capability non-substitutable, or is it vulnerable to the threat of substitution from different types of resources and capabilities? Resources that are competitively valuable, rare, and costly to imitate may lose much of their ability to offer competitive advantage if rivals possess equivalent substitute resources. If management determines that the company doesn't possess a resource that independently passes all 4 tests with high marks, it may have a bundle of resources that can pass all of the tests. Resources and capabilities must be continually strengthened and nurtured to sustain their competitive power, and at times they may need to be broadened and deepened to allow the company to position itself to pursue emerging market opportunities. Organizational resources and capabilities that grow stale can impair competitiveness unless they're refreshed, modified, or even phased out and replaced in response to ongoing market changes and shifts in the company's strategy. In addition, disruptive environmental change may destroy values of key strategic assets, turning static resources and capabilities from diamonds to rust. Management's organizational building challenge has 2 elements: attending to ongoing recalibration of existing capabilities and resources, and 2, casting a watchful eye for opportunities to develop totally new capabilities for delivering better customer value and outcompeting rivals. Companies that know the importance of recalibrating and upgrading resources and capabilities make it routine management functions to build new resource configurations and capabilities. A company requires a dynamically evolving portfolio of resources and capabilities in order to sustain its competitiveness and position itself to pursue future market opportunities. A dynamic capability is the ability to modify, deepen, or reconfigure the company's existing resources and capabilities in response to its changing environment or market opportunities.
I hope you enjoyed watching the videos. Moving forward, let's take a look at this exhibit. Inside the firm, competitive advantage based on the core competencies, resources, and capabilities. So as we can notice, the exhibit depicts how and why we move from the firm's external environment to its internal environment. To formulate and implement a strategy that enhances the firm's chances of gaining and sustaining competitive advantage, the firm must have certain types of resources and capabilities that combine to form core competencies. The best firms conscientiously identify their core competencies, resources, and capabilities to survive and succeed. Firms then determine how to manage and develop internal strengths to respond to the challenges and opportunities in their external environment. In summary, the dynamic view of core competencies and core capabilities suggests that these concepts are constantly evolving and changing, rather than fixed and unchanging. Organizations must continuously monitor and assess their core competencies and core capabilities and make changes as necessary in order to stay competitive. This requires a continuous process of learning and adaptation in order to maintain a sustainable competitive advantage. I shall now turn you over. I shall now turn over the next three subtopics to Sir Arvy. Take it away, Sir Arvy.
Thank you, Sir Jabbar, for discussing subtopics A and B. Now, as we all know, change is an inevitable part of business, and managing it effectively across the enterprise is essential for sustainable business. At this point, I will now be discussing subtopic C, which is managing change across the enterprise using cross-functional and cross-company integration. Managing change across an enterprise using cross-functional integration involves bringing together different departments and teams within the organization to work together towards a common goal. Now, this approach can help to ensure that changes are implemented effectively and efficiently while also addressing any potential resistance or challenges that may arise. Research has demonstrated that organizations can move from mere installation to strategic alignment, benefits realization, and change agility by following a model for sustainable change. Now, let's take a look here at the illustration on the slide. The model in Figure 5 is not intended to represent a series of actions or a stepwise approach. Rather, the intent is that all elements of the model receive ongoing attention, and in fact, the elements are highly interrelated and are adjusted as the projects and programs of a portfolio are executed. A research on a practice guide in 2013 stated that sustainable change begins with the initial project planning. Formulate change is the first activity in the change life cycle framework, which is now shown in Figure 6. And as part of the activities of this process is to define the pacing of change in collaboration with the recipient's representative. So, in order to be able to mobilize the stakeholders and sustain the change. Now, it has been said that while sustaining change is depicted in the change life cycle framework, the practice guide noted that this is not a final step in a sequential process, but rather a process that links to the formulate change activity and receives focus throughout the life cycle of the project or program. Now, moving on, let's first differentiate cross functional integration to cross company integration. Now, when we say cross-functional integration, this involves creating a system where different departments within an organization are connected through shared objectives, processes, resources, information systems, and communication channels. Now, this type of collaboration allows teams to better understand how their work affects other areas of the business so they can plan accordingly for any changes that may arise as a result. Now, additionally, by leveraging each team's expertise in their respective fields, such as marketing or IT, organizations can now develop innovative solutions more quickly than if they were working alone without access to these specialized skill sets. Now, on the other hand, cross company integration goes beyond internal collaborations between departments by connecting multiple businesses together into one cohesive unit with common goals and strategies for achieving them efficiently over time. By partnering with external entities who have similar interests or complementary capabilities, okay, such as suppliers or distributors. Now, these companies gain access to new markets while also reducing operational costs associated with running separate operations independently from one another. Now, this means that this may ultimately lead to increased profits due to its cost saving potential over long periods of time when managed properly. Effecting change in these parts of a company's value chain cannot be done within a corporate sustainability function alone. Among others, it requires that procurement and supply chain teams factor sustainability into purchasing decisions, that product development and R&D consider that environmental impact of what is designed, and that finance invest in the people and structures that enable these changes. So when we create a cross-functional approach to corporate sustainability, we mean that we need to translate corporate sustainability targets into a specific functional goals. A point, functional sustainability leads to coordinate work and introducing sustainability collaboration forums. Managing change across an enterprise using cross-functional integration involves bringing together different departments and teams within the organization to work together towards a common goal. Now, this approach can help to ensure that changes are implemented effectively and efficiently while also addressing any potential resistance or challenges that may arise. Now, here are the few steps that organizations can take to manage change using cross functional integration. So, first, we have to clearly communicate the need for change. Now, leaders should clearly communicate the needs for change to all employees and stakeholders, including the benefits and potential challenges. Now, this helps to build buy in and support for the change effort. Another is to establish a cross functional team. So we need to form a team made up of representatives from different departments and teams within the organization. Now, these teams should be responsible for planning, implementing, and monitoring the change effort. Another is to identify and address potential challenges. We mean that in this part, companies should then develop strategies to address these challenges and mitigate any potential negative impacts. In addition, there is a need to build a communication plan. The cross functional team should develop a communication plan that ensures all employees and stakeholders are kept informed about the change effort and any new processes and systems that are implemented. And the last one is to continuously monitor and evaluate the change effort. So in here, the cross-functional team should continuously monitor and evaluate the progress of the change effort and make any necessary adjustments to ensure that the change is implemented effectively and efficiently. You might be wondering if there is really a need for cross-company integrations. Now, to answer you with that, many professional services companies specializing in task management system deployment, who are at the forefront of digital transformation, have seen the advantages that these tools provide, but they have also discovered an interesting challenge. Now, once they have implemented a proper task management system internally, they normally would want to extend the efficiency gains to their external partners. Partners in this sense refers to all the businesses they work with on regular basis and with whom they need to exchange information in a structured manner. Currently, for many companies, most of this information exchange is done through email, spreadsheets, virtual meetings, and or such. And a great deal of information is lost since not everyone has the discipline to keep the related tasks up to date in their own environment. Now, for this subtopic, we have learned that integrations indeed across companies are no longer a good to have, but a necessity. More and more organizations recognize this whenever teams need to collaborate efficiently while using their trusted environment. In addition, the drive to solve this operational problem will result in an increase in task management networks connecting related companies. As the logical next step in the process of digital transformation, cross or multi company integrations are the stepping stone to a worldwide network of connected companies that collaborate in a structured manner. Now, in conclusion, using cross-functional integration is an effective way to manage change across an enterprise, for it allows different departments and teams within the organization to work together towards a common goal and addresses any potential resistance or challenges that may arise. In addition, organizations should clearly communicate the need for change, establish a cross functional team, identify and address potential challenges, build a communication plan, and continuously monitor and evaluate the change effort. At this point, we are now to the fourth subtopic under Unit 6, which is the cultural aspects of organizational dynamics and the agile enterprise. Organizational dynamics and the agile enterprise are essential components of sustainable business. Cultural aspects play a major role in how an organization functions, as well as how it is able to successfully adopt an agile approach. By understanding the cultural dimensions of organizational dynamics and the agile enterprise, businesses can now create a more effective working environment that supports sustainability goals. Now, the first step in creating an agile culture is to understand what drives employee engagement and motivation within your organization. Now, this includes examining factors such as communication channels, decision making processes, the reward systems, job design practices, and even the leadership styles that shape employees' attitudes towards their work tasks or projects that they are involved with. Now, additionally, organizations should consider ways to foster collaboration among team members by encouraging open dialogue between different departments or teams so ideas can be exchanged freely without fear or retribution or criticism from management or peers alike. Companies need to assess their existing corporate culture for any potential obstacles which may impede successful implementation of agile initiatives. So, what do you mean by these? Areas such as risk aversion, bureaucracy, resistance to change, lack of trust between stakeholders, and among others. Now, it need special attention if these issues exist within the company's current structure. Now, once identified, these areas must be addressed through training programs for staff at all levels, along with other measures like introducing new policies and procedures, which will help ensure smooth transition into this new way working, while also promoting greater efficiency and effectiveness across all departments in order to achieve long-term success and sustainability objectives set out by the management team. Now, in the context of an agile enterprise, culture is particularly important as it shapes the organization's ability to respond quickly and effectively changing market conditions and customers' needs. An agile culture is characterized by a focus on speed, flexibility, and adaptability. It also encourages continuous improvement, experimentation, and learning, and values collaboration and open communication. Now, to foster an agile culture, organizations can take several steps, such as number one, encourage a growth mindset. Encourage employees to embrace a growth mindset and see challenges and failures as opportunities for learning and improvement. Another is to emphasize the importance of continuous learning. We mean that we need to encourage employees to take on new challenges and continuously develop their skills and provide opportunities for learning and development. Also, they need to foster collaboration and open communication. So they need to encourage employees to work together, share information and ideas, and communicate openly and transparently. Another one is to empower employees to make decisions. So they need to give employees the autonomy to make decisions and take ownership of their work, which can help to promote innovation and creativity. I think there is also a need to lead by example. So leaders should lead by example and model the behavior they want to see in their employees. So in the other context is that an agile culture is a key aspect of an agile enterprise and can help organizations to respond quickly and effectively to changing market conditions and customer needs. So it encourages continuous improvement, experimentation, and learning, and the values collaboration and in open communication. So organizations can foster an agile culture by encouraging a growth mindset, emphasizing the importance of continuous learning, fostering collaboration and open communication, empowering employees to make decisions, and leading by an example. Agile values and culture, however, provides us with a solid foundation on which to build an organization that is adaptable, flexible, and responsive to complexity, uncertainty, and change. Now, let's take a look here at the illustration in this particular slide. Um, as you can see, agile culture and leadership principles are interrelated and are the base upon which effective change is built. Agile leadership is essential to focus and navigate the change. So, without it, the current culture will prevail and a diluted form of organizational change will emerge. Furthermore, with agile leadership and sponsorship from key stakeholders and influencers, an agile culture can emerge and become embedded to the benefit of the organization and all its people. It has been concluded in the study of Mauliman entitled Cultural Diversity and Sustainability that sustainability governance should be more culturally sensitive, reflexive, and dynamic, which requires institutions, instruments, processes, and even actors in the involvement based on the compatibility of values and traditions rather than on commonality or integration. Now, in this last subtopic of Unit 6, we can learn that such premise implies an approach beyond traditional forms of governance towards a culturally sensitive meta-governance for sustainable development, beyond disciplinary or scientific research, beyond states and other existing institutional borders, beyond existing ways to measure progress, beyond linear forms of innovation, and beyond cultural integration or assimilation towards looking for compatibility. Cultural sensitivity in the workplace has been defined as represented through the organizational and interpersonal recognition and appreciation of cultural diversity among professionals. Now, a person or organization's success in developing a culturally sensitive workplace is dependent on their policies and behaviors. There are four ways that we can help to build a more culturally sensitive work environment. So let's first discuss the first one, celebrate cultural differences. Now we need to show the people around us that we care about their distinguishing qualities and different backgrounds by celebrating cultural differences. So we need to make an effort to learn about people's beliefs and traditions and ask others about the things that they value. The second one is to prioritize fairness and inclusion. So, whether you're a manager, a team leader, or an entry level employee, you can contribute to a more culturally sensitive workplace by prioritizing fairness and inclusion. So, we act with kindness and openness when speaking with everyone at work and when participating in collaborative groups or designing teams. Remember to let everyone's voice be heard. So, by doing this, will help people around us to feel safe and valued, and it's likely to inspire more people to do the same. The third one is to seek out cultural sensitivity training. Um, Cultural sensitivity training is a series of educational workshops, modules, or presentations that are designed to increase people cultural awareness and appreciation of others. So what we can do is to ask about joining or starting a cultural awareness cohort or team by asking for cultural sensitivity training or asking to be a part of a group dedicated to cultural awareness. It may show your commitment to professional growth, equality, and teamwork. And the fourth one is to practice active listening. So it is very important that people from all cultural backgrounds feel heard and encouraged to express themselves at work. So when people speak about their life experiences, so we need to be open to their ideas. We can ask engaging and clarifying questions to show our interest and make sure we fully understand what we're saying. It has been noted that culture drives sustainable development. So, throughout the past decade, statistics, indicators, and data on the cultural sector, as well as operational activities, have underscored that culture can be a powerful driver for development with community wide social, economic, and environmental impacts. Culture-led development also includes a range of non-monetized benefits such as the greater social inclusiveness and rootedness, resilience, innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship for individuals and communities, and the use of local resources, skills, and knowledge. Um, Local and indigenous knowledge systems and environmental management practices provide valuable insight and tools for tackling ecological challenges, preventing biodiversity loss, reducing land degradation, and mitigating the effects of climate change. Now, recognizing the need for a mindset shift is very critical, but the real challenge is embedding sustainability into the core of the company, a major departure from traditional business models for many. Now, it's not just change, but in some cases, a radical change that's required and that's going to take a lot of bravery. So there was a research or a survey made by Agon and Sustainable Views. So according to their research, to be a more sustainable company, current culture and purpose may need to shift. So in their survey, 56% of their respondents said that their organizations need to change their collective mindsets to achieve their sustainability goals. Research would tell us that culture enables sustainable development as well. So, cultural sensitive approaches have demonstrated concretely how one can address both the economic and human rights dimensions of poverty at the same time, while providing solutions to complex development issues in an innovative and multisectoral manner. Indeed, culture has a transformative power on existing development approaches, helping to broaden the terms of the current development debate and to make development much more relevant to the needs of the people. Let's now take a look at the findings from One Earth. So, in here, it was mentioned that the consideration of culture is indeed vital if we are to achieve the sustainable development goals. However, the practice is indeed challenging, especially with respect to the beliefs, morals, and practices of individuals and groups, or more succinctly put, culture, which, despite attracting growing awareness, it remains understated in sustainability. So, in this paper, it has been examined how and to what extent cultural values are linked to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Further, empirical understanding obtained from a panel data analysis highlights that cultural values explain as much as 26% of the variations in the SDG achievements, yet the links are strikingly divergent across cultural traits and indicators. UNESCO in 2012 findings implied that there is a need to consider more cultural contexts and nuances in sustainability science communications and policy design, and to develop new cross-disciplinary solutions to sustainability challenges. So, in conclusion, cultural sensitivity is the ability to understand, respect, and appreciate the cultural differences that exist among people. So, in a business context, it is very, very important for organizations to be culturally sensitive when operating in different regions or countries, as cultural differences can have a significant impact on how business is conducted. Finally, we can conclude also that cultural sensitivity encompasses understanding cultural differences, respecting cultural differences, being adaptable, being non judgmental, and being empathic, which can help organizations to build stronger relationships and navigate cultural differences in the markets in which they operate. So that is the end of our presentation for Unit 6, Crafting a Sustainable Enterprise Through Leadership and Capabilities. We hope that you were able to grasp some of the principles and were able to relate it to the presentation of case studies related to its subtopics and for the key takeaways that we have presented. Thank you very much again and have a great day.